Ladies and gentlemen, you're here live for the Alabama or the Bama Standard, that is, post bye week show. We didn't have a game this weekend, so we got a post bye week show. And to be quite honest, we couldn't give you fans a weekend without hearing from us. I just don't think that'd be Christ like. But before we get started, I want everyone right now to hit that like and subscribe button. I want you to jump in the live chat if you're here. If you're watching a replay, we need comments in the comment section. You guys are what makes this show go. As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Properties. I am one of your excellent hosts, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is a man who's a living legend and who makes this show go and makes me look a whole lot better. That's none other than the illustrious Coach Smook. What is going on, sir?
What's up, brother? What's up, man? Everything's good this way. Enjoyed some good college football this weekend, and definitely was ready to get on to today so we could get started on this LSU week, man. Well, week 2 of LSU. Look,
We got LSU hate week 2 consecutive weeks. We didn't take a week off from that. That was very evident. We kept that alive in all of our social media platforms for sure.
yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
did you have any anxiety this weekend?
Not really. Not. I
No,
mean,
no.
I honestly feel I don't know what to expect. So right now it's like one of those things where I'm kind of just banking on Coach Saban doing what Coach Saban does, and that's getting guys ready after a bye week. We know what our record looks like since he's been there post bye week. I don't think he's lost a game yet post bye week since he's been at Alabama. So I think I was trying to fact check it before we got on, but I couldn't find anything that showed otherwise. So until somebody else tell me otherwise, that's what I'm rolling with.
Roll Tide, roll. Dean Cloud, glad to have you in here. Hey, speaking of Coach Saban, he will be turning 71 years young tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And what better present to give this man than a victory down in Baton Rouge? This is going to be an exciting week, as we all know. Hey, we could actually qualify this as a 12-team playoff per se, because every week for Alabama on out is going to be a playoff game.
Yeah.
Definitely for SEC uh, implications, but
Right.
also the national perspective. Alabama's got to win each week in order to keep its playoff hopes alive. It's not just a SEC title on the line. So this week, I guess it's round one of the playoffs.
Right.
And who would have thought going into this game, I guess back when we started this season, that LSU would be in the position they're in? Coach Smoot, I don't know if people realize they only have one conference loss. Of course, that was to one of the hardest teams in the country in Tennessee. But nonetheless, it's just one loss.
Right.
Completely different team, arguably the most improved team in the conference and probably the country. Ryan Kelly seems to be making things click down there. So it's an interesting situation. And all of a sudden, we have returned back to this game being meaningful.
Right.
But before we kind of jump into this game and what we need to see, we have some questions going in that we needed to have answered coming out of this bye week. And I think let's start out with the offense. And Coach Smook, I know that there's some things going in that you needed to have answered. We needed to have worked on here in this bye week. Matter of fact, Bo Scarborough challenged the team this past week as we began preparations for this time off. I would like to play this little clip, and then I want to get your thoughts on it. And then, folks, those who are in the audience, I'm going to get your thoughts as well. So let's go ahead and play that. It's about a minute 19, nothing too crazy.
My main thing is finding an identity of this team. Like this team is out of whack, and no one is together. Like it just seems like everybody just individual. It's an individual, like we playing golf or something. It's ain't nobody that came together and be one like we always been. But technically, I know what's finna happen. We about to go into camp practice. when we go into camp practice, I think they're gonna get some of their mind right because of how Coach Saban does the bye week with the camp practice. But we have to get that identity back, and we have to have these boys scared of us. We have to be more physical than we have been these past 5 to 6 games. Like, we haven't been physical at all, not once. We haven't drove no one back 5 yards. We haven't ran the ball downhill and ran nobody over and celebrated for a first down. We haven't done none of that. I haven't seen nobody slap nobody upside the head for making a mental error. I haven't seen nobody pull no one to the side and talk to him, on a mistake that he made. So my whole thing for this bye week is to start over.
Man, that's some powerful stuff. You hit on one of those things you talked about was usually in the bye week is when Saban kind of circles the wagons and gets things back on track. But both said some powerful things there. One, we don't have an identity yet when it comes to our offense. Two, we have not been the physically dominant Alabama that we're known for. And then three, ultimately, we need to press that reset and essentially start over. So based on what you just saw there, man, what were your main takeaways from what Bo said?
Bo was absolutely correct, man. Like he was saying, I mean, you just don't see the level of intensity you used to seeing from Alabama offense or Alabama defense. I will say this. I know that statement was made after the Mississippi State game, but if you pay attention to how those guys played in that Mississippi State game, no, we didn't put up the numbers. No, we didn't get flashy. But DeMarco Hellams getting on to Rob at the end of the game, that was big for me. And you could see Jordan Battle and all the rest of the secondary. They came to the sideline, and there was some teaching and some talking and some get that right, looks on those faces. And I even saw the defensive linemen, coaching each other up with all the young guys on the field. So I believe we started to see it. It probably wasn't highlighted or wasn't made that big of a deal during that game because we were looking for, as fans, we were looking for that super domination performance coming off of a loss, but I did see it on the defensive side. Offensively, I think we haven't had a chance based off of play calling, to impose our will. Our offensive line, despite, Dalacourt being our Achilles heel and Bill O'Brien's play calling, I think the offensive line has done an awesome job. Steen has definitely improved. Tyler Booker, when he gets in, there's no drop off. Latham has improved. Ekior and Cohan have always been solid. They both have cleaned up their mental errors that they were making early in the season. Seth McLaughlin is our answer at center. So I believe if you give those guys a chance to impose their will in the trenches with the run game, I think we'll see a significant change in the style, in the way our offense is producing.
I completely agree. It helps us to establish that running game. And I think that we have to establish that running game now. And once we get it established, I won't say it hasn't been established because it really has. And with Seth McLaughlin in the lineup, we're able to impose our will in terms of our running game against our opponents. Now, when he's taken out of the equation, all of a sudden that run game is not imposing their will. They're not being used properly. So answer right there, keep Seth in. Okay. Another thing in regards to the running game, when it's working, keep doing it. Don't run away from it. And that's been one of my biggest gripes about Bill O'Brien is when the backs are firing off Jahmyr Gibbs, Jace McClellan, and even Roydell. When Roydell gets hot, it's all of a sudden it's like, okay, guys, we got to put this back in our toolbox, and we probably won't use y'all again, but I appreciate your help. No, we need to be a balanced offense.
Yes.
Use those guys, man. And listen, don't make Jahmyr Gibbs do it all by himself. That's been one of my arguments. Look, the man is phenomenal. He is as advertised, but you cannot wear him down. Jace McClellan is a stud. He can be used in multiple ways. He's elusive, but he can also hit you in the mouth. He can be a very physical runner. He reminds me of a modern-day Sean Alexander, but physical. Use that to your advantage. Okay. when it's the short yardage situation, man, bring in the Haas Roydell. Let him run over some folks, man. Let him act like he's a modern version of LaRon McClain. Just do not dare people to tackle you. Be an attacking offense with that run game. In terms of the passing, okay, Bill, put down the Techno Bowl playbook. Quit running all verticals. Stop it. What I need to see from Bill O'Brien offensively, and I hope this is something that Coach Saban made him do on this bye week, and that's using crossing routes, slants, RPOs. Here's a enlightening moment. Jet sweeps, screens, attack the middle. Hey, I'm going to file a missing persons report. You know who it's for? Cameron Latou. He has been virtually non-existent this entire year. He's had a few catches here and there, but there's a major drop-off in his production from this year and last. Last year, he was an integral part of that offense. He was kind of one of those little parts of the machine that made the offense go. Was he elite like a Jameson Williams or a John Mechie? No, but he was that extra cog in the machine.
He was our X factor. Every game. You couldn't scheme for him because of all the other weapons. But he was definitely somebody that you had to account for, because once he got started, he was consistent. Every chance he gave, I say Latou target rate has dropped maybe like 60-70%, and that's all by play design. You can't convince me otherwise. You have a big tight end not making, if you use them right, they have to respect the middle. If you put your big body in the middle, they have to respect it, or he's going to hurt you. We haven't been putting him in the middle of the field. We haven't been making the linebackers look his way because we're running him outside to where the wide receivers should be having their space to work. Another thing you said about the offense, brother, we complain about our rushing offense, not because it's not productive, but because we aren't using it. We have the number 3 ranked rushing offense in the SEC right now. Through this week, we have the number 3, and that's what our bye week included. We have the number 3 ranked rushing offense. We're ahead of Georgia and Tennessee and Florida. Both teams, all 3 of those teams have been known to lead on their rushing game. Our production we may not have as many attempts, but our production is higher as far as yards per carry. And most of that came through the 2 weeks that Bryce Young was out, or got injured, and we had to rely on Milroe and Gibbs and McClellan and Roydell. Like those guys, you got to give them opportunities, and when you do, it produces. I don't understand why you go away from a play or a style where it's getting you 4 or 5 yards a pop. That's what you ask for out of a run play. You want four and a go. You know what I'm saying? That's what we used to run my first year coaching. Anytime coach wants the OC wanted a running play, we need 4. If you can get 4 yards first and second down, man, you open your playbook up so much on third down because they don't know what's coming, So it's just those simple things like you were saying, brother. If Bill O'Brien could just, open his mind up just a little bit, get past the basic middle school playbook, and just open his mind up just a little bit, I believe we could be successful.
I agree. And right now, I really need him to earn the salary he's being paid. Create those mismatches. Be creative. Use Tyler Harrell, because apparently he's real. He's alive. He's not catfishing us. Mm-hmm. He's there. Use him. Create opportunities for him. Create opportunities for JoJo Earl. Create opportunities for Isaiah Bond. And somebody already mentioned in the chat, create some kind of package with Jalen Milroe where we can use his legs to kind of keep the defense honest. Do something different. But my biggest thing that I want to see is we need to get away from playing backyard football. I'm sorry. That is not design plays. That is not going to keep defenses guessing. That is not going to throw defenses off. That's just a bunch of crap and throwing stuff in the air and hoping it's going to land in the right places. Bryce Young is an amazing talent, okay? But the Bryce Young magic cannot bail us out every single series. Give the man some help, design plays that are going to take pressure off him and allow him to operate. We're wasting his senior year or junior year. Sorry.
We really are. And if you think about it, man, when Bryce Young has to play backyard football because of play design, That's what makes it look like the offensive line can't protect. But if you go back to all the backyard plays since probably Texas week, every since then, that offensive line has bought Bryce Young some crazy amount of time. But it's hard to get open when you're sending two of the same exact routes on the same side of the field. Like, it's easy for one defender to cover two routes. It's easy for a safety to cover a double post that you are instructing guys to run at the same depth. It's easy to cover a double seam on the same side of the double fly routes on the same side of the ball when you're telling them to read the same reads. And it shouldn't be like that. You have to understand it's things as simple as, telling a guy to delay release. If you're going to do that, have a delay release with one of those guys, whether it be the slot or the number one receiver on the outside. Have a delay release. Just small wrinkles like that can help Bill O'Brien look like he know what he's doing. Another stat: our passing offense I think we're number 2 in the SEC right now. Like, we're producing the numbers, but it's not because of efficiency. It's literally
or scheme. Yeah,
nothing
creative.
Nothing creative. It's literally guys just being better, majority of the time. And a lot of times we don't get to that. We don't embrace it or accept or appreciate it because of how hard we have to work to make it look easy. And it shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way when you have as much talent as you do. I seen a comment about Ja'Cory Brooks and Trayshawn Holden. Those are solid receivers. Those guys can go and start. If they were with Lane Kiffin, those guys would be number 1, number 2, top 5 receiving or receptions, either one of those categories. If they were in a offense that's used them, to their strengths. That's what Kiffin and those other guys did. They used their guys' strengths and they displayed them consistently. We don't do that. And the moment we get away from making Jermaine Burton a featured receiver or option or the primary option in our passing game, I think we're going to see a lot of difference. And hot take real quick before we continue, I think Jermaine Burton starts to see less snaps as JoJo Earl, Tyler Harrell, Ja'Cory Brooks, Trayshawn Holden, Isaiah Barnes, Kobe Prentice, Aaron Anderson's back, Cam Latu is fully healthy. I saw statements being made about Robbie Oots being implemented in the passing game, and I don't think we've gotten to see Robbie Oots show his athleticism yet. That guy's an athletic guy. Yeah. You go back and look at his high school film. I think the learning curve has been a thing for him, adjusting to being a blocking H-back, but we got to implement that guy somehow. We got to use him in the fullback leaks, off of the fake dives, like the small stuff that the simple stuff that great offensive coordinators are using to capitalize on. We got to get back to that. If we're going to pass in the red zone, it shouldn't be a 5-step drop. It should be play action, rolling Bryce off platform with a 1 option and a 2 option, and his 3rd option is the run. Simple. Whichever side, it doesn't matter. You're not going to find many defensive ends that could keep up with Bryce. You're not going to find many linebackers that can keep up with or can outdo Cam Latu, on a jump ball. You're not going to find many DBs who can cover Bolden or Brooks one-on-one outside for a comeback, corner, back shoulder, jump ball, whatever you want to throw towards the sideline, moving Bryce Young in that angle, and they have to respect his legs at the end of the day. So,
yeah, I agree. And you actually jumped ahead and you got one of my points. And you and I are in complete agreement that Jermaine Burton should not be the primary receiver. I'm sorry. He's just not it. The hype was there, but the production has proved it to be completely false. So this is where we need to venture over to someone like a Ja'Cory Brooks, who I feel like honestly is the primary receiver. He's out of all the guys, he probably is the most consistent. And to be honest with you, if I'm in a pickle, I'm going to look his way first. Another guy that you mentioned athleticism in terms of Robbie Oots, I think we need to have some design plays start using Amari Black. He's a guy who reminds me of an O.J. Howard type, an Irv Smith type. I really would like to see us start implementing him more in the game plan. But, will Bill O'Brien do that? And as far as Jermaine Burton, will we actually move away from him and in favor of the guys who are being more consistent and who are doing the right things? Or is Coach Saban going to be stubborn and continue to allow him to do what he's doing and force round peg square hole? That's a question I want to have answered. But not putting the young man down. It's just not panning out. We got to get to this comment here. I'm curious to hear what you're thinking. This is also on the wide receiver coaches. They need to be more in the game planning. They know what those boys can do. To be honest with you, I don't think this is a Holman Wiggins situation. I think Holman Wiggins is actually being handcuffed by Bill O'Brien, and maybe even Nick Saban to some extent.
I think that's what my goal is saying. Like, you could tell that the positional coaches aren't having much say so in the type of play calling that's being said, because for Holman Wiggins to produce the type of receiver production that he produced his first year here, even though he has some studs, I mean, but you still have to scheme right when you have studs. You just can't expect those guys to win one-on-ones every time, because that's not what they're going to have. Even the way if you talk to Cam Latu and you talk about Cam Latu's growth, a lot of his growth came from sitting in the room with the wide receivers coach, Holman Wiggins, and learning the intricacies of becoming a better receiving tight end when he got switched to that position. So is like you said, Mike Gold, I completely agree with you. Let these positional coaches, whatever their evaluation is, and I think that's what Saban was referring to when he was talking about reassessing some things of how they're, even from game planning, from the staff, all the way down to the players' performance. I think he was talking about how they are approaching the game plan, and if that's what he's referring to, which we've all been watching Saban for the past, 16 years now, 15 years, 2007 Saban got here. Yeah. So right at 15 years, going on 16 years. One thing we've always seen is when Saban needs to turn on a switch, he turns that switch on. And I believe one of the switches that he's going to turn off is Bill O'Brien having full control of play calling in those situations where it's needed to run the ball or is needed to. And I believe Amari Neblack, he's still struggling with the playbook, because even when he did get in and make those plays for those games that he was getting a lot of reps, you saw a lot of Bryce Young coaching him after the play when, something broke down or something. So I believe he's just in a learning curve that's going to help him next year, kind of like Kool-Aid was on the defensive side last year.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I really want to see him just, be used in some fashion. But
because you have to respect him. You have to respect him when he's on the field.
Now, I am still kind of perturbed, if I guess I could say, the fact that we are 10 games in, and we haven't seen that growth offensively. Some may argue that we have these young guys, and that's because, and the reason why we're having this delayed progress is because of the young guys. I'm sorry, my theory has always been when you're at this point in the season, young should become mature. Freshmen become sophomores become juniors. Psychologically, they take that next step, and a lot of the old things fade away, and the new needs to come in. So I'm hoping in this bye week, we have a lot of the old that's going to be tucked away. And yes, I completely agree with you. This is the point where Coach Saban needs to be ballsy, like he was when he pulled Jalen Hurts in favor of Tua Tagovailoa. Nobody else would have done that, but it got us a national championship. So we kind of need to see something like this right now if we hope to keep our playoff hopes alive. That is just plain and simple.
And what better game to do it in LSU night game, away game? What better game to give Tyler Harrell the start at slot and put Ja'Cory Brooks on that side outside with him, or JoJo Earl at start in the slot, and have Holden beat his guy on the comebacks and the hitches where he's been so efficient and effective at, and allowing Bryce Young, taking a lot of the pressure off of Bryce Young by handing the ball off, 30 times this game instead of him throwing the ball 35 times. I feel like Bryce Young could be a lot more effective if he threw the ball 25 times or less. I feel like our offense could be so much more effective, because then you don't have a safety sitting there saying, okay, all I got to do is play the middle of the field and wait for Bryce to start scrambling, and then I'm going to break to that side of the field because I know he can't. His wide receivers aren't going to work back after 4 or 5 seconds. His offensive line is getting lost. We might get a holding penalty. So, like, we got to stop making it easy on the defense and let these athletes, these 5 stars and 4 stars who came to Alabama, who were dogging players in high school one-on-ones and, going up making crazy catches, start unleashing everything,
Yeah.
and the guy made a comment using those slants. If you go look at Ja'Cory Brooks and Trayshawn Holden's film, those guys ate slants and quick outs and quick hitches and comebacks. They eat those routes up. Even if you look at their stats and their plays from this season, Ja'Cory Brooks and Trayshawn Holden are hard to guard on the comeback route. Back shoulder routes, they are hard to guard. We need to implement that. If we're going to continue to lean on the passing game, use your strengths. Play to your strengths. Stop doing things so elementary that put Bryce in a bad situation, that put the offensive line in a bad situation, that make it look like the receivers aren't creating space because the design is not made to create space. You're not making guys work space. You're sending them to a spot even when it's not there. Like, why? So.
I like that. Now, one of the things I have to address, I think is going to kind of lead into one of the next things that we're going to talk about. For the past 2 or 3 weeks, Marvin Constant, Reggie Ragland, and Bo in this video clip we just watched, they were essentially calling for the enforcers to come out. The nice guys, they need to step aside. Mike McCoy has always said we need 97% gangsters and 3% church boys. And there's, if you look at the successful teams on the Saban era, they had those gangsters, those guys who weren't nice, who were going to get in your face and tell you what you're doing wrong. You correct it or you get off my field. They would stop practice and tell the coach, get this guy off my field. He's becoming a problem. I don't need him in here. Matter of fact, in a playoff practice, I think 2016, I want to say, the players completely shut down practice because Tony Brown was not doing what he was supposed to do, and they refused to practice until they got him out of there, and they put him on a bus. They sent him home. We need to get those enforcers back. The 2 leaders arguably on this team are Bryce Young and Will Anderson. But they're also 2 of the most likable, down-to-earth guys that you will ever meet. I don't think that they have that mean bone in their body, but we need some of these guys that have that, for lack of a better term, asshole personality to step up and start getting people in gear. You mentioned one guy earlier, DeMarco Hellams, based on what we saw in that last play. But also, and this leads to our next segment, one of the things that you wanted to talk about, Eli Ricks. And you asked the question to me, and I want people in the audience to answer, is Eli Ricks the answer to our defensive woes? Before we start talking about that, I got another clip, and this is from Marvin Constant giving an answer to that question. Eli Ricks balled out and reminded us why he's one of the best in the country at his position. He shut down his entire side of the field. Ricks is the missing piece to having an elite defense. Buy or sell? Marvin, you first.
I'm selling. I ain't selling on Ricks. Ricks is going to do what Ricks does. Great corner. The thing that's holding us back from being an elite defense is Pete. So I'm going to buy Ricks, but I'm selling Pete ass, all right? Ricks is going to ball. Again, I told you, I'd have put Ricks on the backside by himself to lock that down, don't worry about nothing else, and I'd have played what I needed to play to the field with everybody else. He is that type of corner. He makes the defense better. But the thing that we have that is detrimental to us is frat boy Pete. He ain't it. He ain't it.
Derek, what you got?
I'm buying the Ricks, but our defense ain't there yet. Until our defensive line, our front 7, which was supposed to be the strength of our defense, starts.
Derek, hold on, Derek. Hold on. Let me interrupt you, Derek. I want you to answer this for me, Derek. Did they not say that this would be the best defense under the Saban era? They returned 9 stars, and this defense was supposed to be damn all world. So, Derek, in your opinion, what the hell is happening here? Because clearly this ain't the best damn defense in the Saban era.
They was just wrong. They wrong.
That's plain and simple.
They were just wrong, man. Because that is far from his best defense ever.
I wouldn't even put it in his top 10 defenses. Hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Bo, that leaves you, man. Is
I've
Ricks...
scared to run against any defense now. But I knew if I ran against our defense back in '92, I was gonna be in the whirlpool for a couple of days. Boy, I'd run through the boy. I'd have a field day with them cats. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't nobody out there laying no wood. Ain't
Kinda
no
like
pass popping.
Man, some truth being dropped there. No sugarcoating, no politically correctness. Straight truth from our guys.
Can I get my response first?
Oh yeah, I'm waiting to hear what you guys say. Hey, chat, you just saw it. Let us know what you thought about that, and we'll follow up with what y'all said after Coach Smook gives his rebuttal.
All right, let me fix the mic. I'm gonna have to bring the mic closer.
Oh, it's about to get there, guys.
Mr. Marvin is on this sabbatical about getting rid of Pete Golden. Man, look, this is the third year in a row. Pete Golden, with all his young growing pains as a defensive coordinator, mind you, this guy has not been calling plays for 15 years. This is his fifth year, or is his fourth or fifth year as a defensive coordinator. I can't remember.
I believe it's his fifth year.
Fourth or fifth year. If you look at the type of numbers he's producing, you go back to his first year, he had two freshman inside linebackers starting for him because of a crazy amount of injuries to our front seven to start the season. The next year, he gets in, he has those guys come back, and then in the middle of the season, they get hurt. Still makes adjustments. We get postseason play. I mean, he's able to keep us in the top 5 as far as SEC defenses production-wise. Some games are uglier than others, but he continues to prove that he can adjust on the fly, and I believe his greatest improvement this season, his best improvement this season, is those in-game adjustments. We've been able to see that. Tennessee was a different ball game. That was a different story. I think we just kind of, the whole staff, the whole team and itself lost their top in that game. We were at a away game. It was another pressure, unfamiliar territory. If we're going to grade his worst game, that Tennessee game was probably his worst because of the simple adjustment of leaving too high safety was not made. That's a simple adjustment that he could have made. But when you have the type of athletes that you're supposed to have, you don't expect those guys to get beat for 5 touchdowns by one guy. You don't expect that. You expect your starting corner, no matter who it is, you expect him to step up and say, hey, I'm not getting beat anymore. I'm not going to. But at the same time, it does fall on coaching. So we're not going to give him a pass for that. Uncle Marvin, I agree with that. But to keep calling for this man's job, who do you think made the adjustment to put or made the final call to put a coach? Ricks is our fix. Ricks is our fix in the secondary. I believe Pete Golden was that guy because even the scheme of how they played when Ricks proved in the first quarter that he could get out there and he was back in shape and back doing what he does. The defensive play calling was phenomenal throughout the Mississippi State game. Minor errors were made at the safety level with Jordan Battle, who fixed, he make his mistakes and he makes up for it. But our main issue is not Pete Golden. It is not the scheme that he's running. It's the guy in the middle. Huggin Henry is not the support or the enforcer that you need in the middle of that defense to complete and solidify what this defense is made of. Our defensive line has been, last game, young guys out there pushing the line back, making a new line of scrimmage in the trenches. Who's not back there cleaning it up? Henry Toa. But guess
who on the wrong gaps?
Guess who was in there? Jalen Moody when he got his chance. You get what I'm saying? Like, personnel is still my issue with Pete Golden, but scheme, Pete Golden isn't doing anything more different than what Nick Saban taught Kirby, than what Nick Saban taught Jeremy Pruitt. He's not doing anything more different. Execution-wise, these guys are having a lot of mental lapses. We don't know if that's at the position coach level or at his level, but we can't blame all the play calling because I've literally seen where one side of the defense or this safety is playing, one high and covering his side, and the other safety just gets sucked in or lost in the backfield for no reason, just not being disciplined. We could blame it on coaching, but at the end of the day, the players have to make the plays. The players have to play out the play call, and on defense, it's more reactive than, action. So if Jordan Battle's not paying attention in film studies, then he's going to make a lot of mistakes. If Terrion Arnold is not paying attention in film studies, he's going to make a lot of mistakes. DeMarco Helms, he learned from his mistakes. I believe Kool-Aid is learning from his mistakes. People forget Kool-Aid is not a natural corner. This guy came in as an athlete. He came in as a wide receiver, running back, whatever. He's not a natural corner. So his improvement, the way he's getting smoked now, we won't see that his junior year. We will not see that next year from Kool-Aid. But his technique is changing. His ability to keep his head up and play through mistakes is improving. He's becoming a lot more physical on the edges when it's time for him to come up and pull run support. Those are small things that I'm seeing, and he's being put in positions to where he's not having to make all these different decisions. I feel like Pete Golden has done a decent job. He isn't the greatest we've had, but he's done a decent job of doing what needs to be done as far as adjustments to make this defense look somewhat worth something. And once again, production-wise, total defense, we're number 2 in the SEC. Only team ahead of us right now is Georgia. We talk about the run game. We're the second best run or the third best run defense in the SEC. That's all the SEC. We're the third best run defense. The passing offense, we're the second best passing offense in the SEC. So we got to pull off of Pete Golden, man. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. The personnel he's using, no, I can get past that. I could get past the Henry, hugging Henry stage. I could get past the DJ Dell use that we were using earlier in the season. I can get past all that. If we get past that on personnel wise, I think all that fire Pete talk is out the window.
Just in terms of personnel, I got to hit on a couple of those names you mentioned. I'll start out with Kool-Aid. First of all, you have no gripe from me in regards to Kool-Aid McKinstry. He has gotten better each and every week. Matter of fact, all the damage that was done in the Tennessee game was not done on his side, which is a testament of his development. He's becoming a baller. You're seeing less and less mistakes. He's holding his side of the field down. There's no question about that. DeMarco Helms in the Tennessee game, I think that he was playing out of position. He was not put in the best places in order to use his abilities. He's not that guy who's supposed to be covering Jalen Hyatt. I'm sorry. Why he was put in that position, it angers me to this moment. But a key piece, a key personnel that changes everything if he's as advertised is Eli Ricks. We saw what he did in the Mississippi State game. Okay, first of all, I'm not getting too excited. I'm not going to use the Mississippi State game as a measuring stick. The LSU game is going to be a measuring stick because we're playing against arguably 3 of the best receivers that are not wearing Tennessee uniforms in the SEC right now. So we're going to see if he's worth his weight in gold. But if he is, he shuts down his side of the field. He allows DeMarco Helms to play his natural position, allows him to come up in the box and be physical, be a hybrid safety / linebacker. He frees up Brian Branch. And one of the best things you can do with Brian Branch is something we haven't been able to do just yet because we hadn't had the right personnel, and that's blitzing. Same thing with forgot his name, number 13.
Malachi Moore.
Don't know why I forgot his name. I love the guy. Where's George Teague's number? He can be used in blitzing packages, but we have not been able to do that. Now, I'm going to circle back to Jordan Battle. A lot of people are complaining about him, about his lack of production, not being the super senior that we expected him to be. I think Jordan Battle, and I've mentioned this before, Coach Smook, has had to play the role of a modern-day Xavier McKinney and has had to babysit in that secondary and make up for a lot of people's mistakes. If Eli Ricks is as advertised, that stops. Jordan Battle is able to be Jordan Battle, be that dude, and he's going to shut down his side of the field as well. So that's where I stand in terms of that personnel. And if Eli Ricks is that dude, he's going to allow so many people to do things that we have not been able to see up to this point.
Yeah, and you know what else? If Eli Ricks is that guy, you don't have to put Helms in dime packages to cover. You know that? You could bring Arnold in to play your dime corner. You put Branch and Moore or Moore at the safety and Branch as he stays at your star. And then you could even have Helms come in and be the second linebacker. You know, if you're going to keep playing him in the box, put him in there as the second linebacker and let Jalen Moody be your gap filler, you know, with your 2 down or your 3 down lineman. Like you have to, at this point, like you said earlier, you have to use what gives you the best advantage as far as personnel and stopping whatever the offense is presenting. We know LSU is not going to try to air the ball out. They're going to be as balanced as we've seen any other team be in this league. Jaden Daniels doesn't have the arm talent, but he makes up for it by creating that space with his legs. And the guy is an athlete. He's a good quarterback. He can be an effective quarterback, but he has to have time. He has to have a clean pocket. Anytime he doesn't have a clean pocket, he struggles. You know, what makes a great pocket quarterback are guys that can still use the pocket when it's not clean. And Jaden Daniels, if we can continue to be solid on the coverage on the back end, I think we see our defensive linemen start to come out a little bit more now, because they're not having to make a sack in 2 or 3 seconds because the coverage is holding up for 3 seconds, you know. So
yeah,
and we
I
have the
agree.
ability to get those sacks early. We have the ability all across the front from inside out. We have the ability to get pressure. It's just when your guys are getting beat because of, you know, simple things as a safety being out of position 2 seconds after the snap, or, you know, your middle linebacker not stepping, you know, in the right hole, you know, and forcing a read off of him filling the right gap. Then it's kind of easy to just pick and choose where you want to throw the ball or place the ball at.
And I think we can get those sacks that you're talking about from up front if we have a healthy Jaheim Otis, we have a healthy DJ Dell coming back, and then now that Justin Aboybe is out, you know, having Jamil Burrows become that dude. Man, I really hate that Justin Aboybe went down and he's out for the rest of the season, because I've seen him come so far from where he was, man. The first 2-3 years of him being at Alabama, man, it's been wasted time. He has not lived up to potential. And I've said it before, his give a damn just wasn't turned on for whatever reason. But this year, that switch was clicking. He finally got it, man. He understood the assignment. He became a leader, and he was one of the main catalysts for the success we were having up front on that defensive line. It was filtering over to Byron Young. It was filtering over to Jaheim Otis and even DJ Dale. And now that he's out, man, I hate that, because I feel like he was really starting to come into his own. But he's not here. But having a healthy Jaheim Otis and DJ Dale, like I said, and I think that Jamil Burrows can be that dude too. I'm just waiting for him to erupt. But those guys are healthy, and we're attacking Jaden Daniels, who I equate to being a poor man's Hendon Hooker.
Yeah,
get that jersey dirty, man. If dirty, I want that jersey green, black, all kinds of different colors. I want people to know that he got drugged through the mud.
He gets rattled
to do
easy.
that. Yeah, if we're able to do that, he shuts down mentally.
Yes. And like you were saying about those defensive linemen that you named, don't forget Tim Smith, man. Do not forget him. That guy, I don't think he's gotten the opportunities that we got to see him have last year, but he came on late last year in some big plays. One being the Auburn game, when he said the center and the right guard, to stop Tank Bisbee on the 2-yard line. I think he made that play by himself. That was a true stuff play. That was some Terrence Cody stuff play action we saw in that Auburn game, in that Iron Bowl. And that guy, even if he's sliding out to the end, that hand in the ground end, I feel like we still have a solid group. But like you said, the boy be being gone, that energy is going to be missed. Can we find a replacement? Because I don't think it's a talent gap in there. I don't. But the energy, we got to see some vicious nature, some smart viciousness, not jumping off sides, not grabbing face masks to get past guys. Like Aboybe was using all his technique. Like this man, you don't see a 6'4", 285-pound defensive end being able to do swim moves like that guy was doing. You know, his hands were violent. And one thing I'm going to say and I'm going to stick to, DJ Dale doesn't need to be a starter. Let the man play. He's so much more active when he spot plays. 12 to 15 snaps a game for DJ Dale is plenty. It's plenty, because now you're putting him in where we need the stuff. We need that extra girth to stuff the middle. And if he just so happens to bust the middle, he has the athleticism to get after a quarterback. You know, straight line speed is there for DJ Dale at his size. So use these guys in positions where they're going to be effective.
Absolutely. And to your point, I think that Byron Young can also be another energy guy. If you watch him, dude, he's got his mind right every play. He can be disruptive. He is in the face of everybody around him, making sure they get in the right spots. I like him as one of the leaders, and I think he's really improving his draft stock this year. So excited to
You
see
that?
what fact.
See that coming by 6-0?
Let's see. I think Coach Saban will have his hands on business in the second half of the season. I
believe
see
it.
it.
I believe it. If we've ever questioned Saban's mindset, I think his post-game speech after Mississippi State game, that Monday morning speech coming into the bye week, I believe that was a public nice way of saying nobody's safe. And when you have that type of attitude and that type of aura around Alabama, Coach Saban locker room, we know what happens when guys come out of that, you know. And Byron Young, man, that guy, I believe he's the silent leader, you know, that's going to have to step up and be vocal. Because like you said, you can't find many plays where he's out there and he's out of position, you know. He really opens it up for those edge rushers and Will Anderson and Dallas Turner and Braswell, those guys. I believe this second half of the season, we're going to see that cheetah package a lot more too. We're going to see that cheetah package a lot more with Dallas Turner moving back to the middle line, the inside, and being able to throw that look off. Like, is he going to cover? Is he coming? Like, I'm telling you, say I'm picking or whatever. The moment we remove hugging Henry out the way and just, I'm telling you, give that man a plaque, give him his diploma, whatever he's looking for to get from Alabama, because the draft stock is not going up. Like, and he's a great kid, great attitude. I don't know, you know, maybe his work ethic is what gets him the snaps, but the moment we get him out the way and let Lawson and Moody handle that middle, and even if you want to bring the young guy, you know, I forget his name, Murphy. If you want to bring Sean Murphy out there, give him a few spare snaps, you know, garbage time snaps to start getting his feet wet, let's do that. But hugging Henry is not that guy.
And we should have a healthy Deontay Lawson back this week. And that's a guy who's been improving each week too.
Yes.
He definitely is one of my unsung hero award winners thus far. Like what I'm seeing from him. Hey, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of Jeremiah Alexander, to be honest with you. But
that guy,
he's gonna be something.
Why hasn't he seen a snap? You know, like, I want to see him. And Perry, I like what's his name? Curtis Perry.
Yeah.
That guy's vicious, man. Like, you could tell he don't know the playbook yet. That's what's keeping him from being on the field. But when he gets out there, he's one of them guys like, I'm gonna play football regardless, you know. So playbook or no playbook, he gonna wreck some stuff, man.
He just footballs.
And you need that attitude though. Yeah. I play football, coach. You know, that's so I mean,
so let's
that's
talk
what
about
you need sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with you. So let's talk about the game at hand. I'm going to start out with some of the things that I need to see. First thing that jumps off the page to me, no anxiety. We need to be creating the anxiety. We need to be dictating the flow of this game. If we roll into Baton Rouge the same way we did to Knoxville, we're going to have a long day. We've got to be disciplined. I don't want to see them yellow flags in abundance. Can't do that. LSU makes their money off of people's mistakes. Now, the good thing about LSU, they are excellent in the first half at self-destructing. The thing is, they kind of get things together in the second half. If they can play 4 quarters, it's going to be an absolute war. And I hope this is not the game where they kind of put things together. But we've got to put LSU away immediately. Don't let them hang around. Put your foot on their throat, end this immediately. So, yeah, get rid of the anxiety, cause the anxiety, shut LSU down, and let's go ahead and start getting ready for Ole Miss. That's the first thing that I'm going to bring to the table. So what are your thoughts on that? And then what is something that you want to see in this game?
If I was to choose anything, I would just piggyback off of what you just said, Justin. Eliminated those mistakes. I believe a lot of our production is not on the paper, is not in the stat sheets because of penalties. I feel like we can have how many touchdowns have we had called back this year? 4. I think we've had
Yeah, on that, yeah.
4 or 5 touchdowns called back. So that hurts you. Think about the yardage that those plays created, that was created on those plays where we got them called back because of holding or false start or whatever. I believe just the lack of discipline is what's been hindering our offensive production, and defensive wise, just the mental mistakes they have been capitalized on, and big plays have been made off of them. It seems like it only happens to Alabama, where if we make that one little mistake, it seems like everybody we played against has capitalized off of our small mistakes. Whether
Right.
it's pre-play or post-play, they've capitalized off of our small mistakes. Will we see a new mindset with our players? Like, okay, I made a mistake. Let me rebound and make up for it. I haven't seen that on a consistent level. Mississippi State game, yeah, pretty clean game. Those guys, they really didn't test us on a emotional standpoint. But this game, we're going to see those guys. We're going to see our guys tested, and the amount of mistakes made, because we're looking at virtually talent-wise, there's no talent gap between us and LSU right now. There's no talent gap. We have the advantage in some of the areas, but this should turn out, if we execute, we can blow them out. If we make mistakes, it'll be a tight game.
And a lot of people failed to realize that point. Guys, the cupboard was not bare at LSU when they ousted Ed Ogeron. He was a hell of a recruiter. He got 4 and 5 stars across the board. Where we're in a better advantage is our guys are better coached than their guys. However, they are getting up to speed. So, like I said, we got the opportunities. We need to take them. Don't squander them. One of the things I'm looking at is the battle up front. I think we've already talked about this earlier. I think to win the battle up front, Darian Dalcourt can't be in at center. I'm sorry. You're going up against BJ Ojulari and Ali Gay and that front 7, which is very lethal. We don't need a timid guy that's going to be bullied and pushed around. We need Seth McLaughlin, who is going to dominate at the point of attack and set the standard for his guys beside him to follow. He needs to get to that second level and have that mean and nasty and not let anybody across your line. He did it against a vaunted Georgia defensive line in the SEC championship this past year. Didn't even break a sweat. Jordan Davis was on the sideline sucking air because of Seth McLaughlin. We need Seth McLaughlin in this game so we can win that battle at the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball.
The question is he fully healthy again? Because I know that's what the issue was that allowed Dalcourt to get back in the starting lineup at that position. So hopefully, like you said, that's one of those things that he's fully healthy. He's able to go. Hopefully his evaluation process this past week and is continue, and what's going to happen this week is going to continue to get better, because we need Seth. Like you said, we need Seth. I feel like Seth and Latham out there together are from him over to that right side. When Seth is there, it shows a difference, because I believe Steen and Cohen are solid. They've been solid all year. Steen has grown since week 1. Every week you see him getting more and more comfortable. You see his head moving a lot. Like I said, I like to watch old linemen's heads, especially in pass protection. And him and Cohen, they feed off each other. They're passing off stunts perfectly. Cohen looks bad when he's next to Dalcourt, though. He doesn't look bad when he's next to Seth. You know what I'm saying? And Ekior, he looks bad when Dalcourt's in, but when Seth is out there, he doesn't look bad. So as a coach, I'm a fan, and I see that. Like I take plays where I don't watch where the ball goes. I literally watch the offensive line versus their defensive line. And Seth is just a guy. He makes everybody around him better because he doesn't try to make excuses. Dalcourt always pointing and looks like he's asking questions and instead of giving directives. Now, if Dalcourt comes out and he somehow turns a switch on and uses that size that he has over Seth and is able to be aggressive like Seth, that's an answer. But from what he's shown up until now, he's not the guy.
And my defense or my rebuttal to that is, if we hadn't seen it in basically 2 years, I don't think we're going to see it from Dalcourt. And
we haven't, and that's
not
what I
trying to
was.
be disrespectful to the guy. I mean, some guys got that nasty, some guys don't. And McLaughlin does. Now, moving to the defensive side of the ball, we've already touched on this significantly. I think one of the biggest things that is going to play to our advantage, if we're, like I said, we have a healthy Jaheim Otis, DJ Dale, Tim Smith, Jamil Burrows up front. This is a game where they need to ball out and they need to create havoc against Jaden Daniels, getting his head, getting him dirty. That's the biggest thing. Like I said, we've already expounded on that. Is there anything else you want to add to that point?
And just being disciplined in how we do that. Like I said, I think in each phase of the game, as always, discipline is going to be a major factor. For this team this year, it's the only factor. Discipline is the only factor. It's not the athleticism. Is you're going to make mistakes with play calling. You're going to have mistakes, but the discipline, the penalties is what's going to allow our defense to be aggressive. Because if we come out and we get 2 ticky-tack late hits because it's questionable, and we do have plays where we go back and watch the replay and you can see it's not a late hit, but you got to think when the ref is calling it in the heat of the moment, it could be questionable. Let's be disciplined enough to not even give a ref the opportunity to determine the momentum of the game because of the ball is already 12 yards downfield and you putting hands on the quarterback's upper area where his the neck or shoulder area. Like, let's not do that. Let's not do that this game. And if you're late, get your hands up. That's the best way that's why our D line over before this year, Phil Mathis, Quinnen Williams, who else was with that group, man? My boy Terrell Lewis coming off the edge, Christian Barmore coming up the middle, like guys like that.
Anthony
they were
Jennings,
effective. They were able to get their hands up. That's it, So I'm more excited to see what happens after this week than I am nervous, man. Honestly, it's just I feel like those guys have had a chance to finally breathe and really see that they aren't Alabama of past. They haven't played up to the standard. And we get to see what type of character and what type of discipline this team can implement coming out of this bye week. And a big game this is for first place in the West right now.
Playoff game. We actually have an LSU guy in the chat. Welcome in, brother. Glad to have fans of other teams in here, adding to what we got going. I guess one of the last things I'm looking at is the secondary in this game. Like I mentioned earlier, man, this wide receiving core tends to be overlooked because of what Tennessee has going with Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman, and Brew McCoy. But don't look past what LSU has down there in Baton Rouge. They got some guys, Kayshon Boutte, who finally has become team-minded, and Malik Neighbors, along with Jeray Jenkins. Those are some talented guys. And this is a game where our secondary is really going to be tested. Eli Ricks will earn his medal in this game. And believe me, I don't think anyone else wants this game more than Eli Ricks. And I don't think anyone else can get in the mind of Kayshon Boutte better than Eli Ricks. He's looking forward to this matchup. He knows the ins and outs of Kayshon. So this is going to be a prize fight. I'm excited about what we're going to see come out of there. But yeah, this is the ultimate test for our guys.
Yeah, and
I'm saw against Tennessee.
And I'm looking at the numbers as far as what LSU passing offense has been able to do. They're virtually the same effective as Alabama is. I will say up until this point, we may have seen a few better fronts than LSU has been able to see, but they've done what they had to do with a quarterback who's still growing. They don't have an established. They haven't had the luxury of having an established quarterback like we have. That can create plays. Jaden Daniels has grown throughout this season, and so and the reason he's been able to grow is because he's trusting those receivers. And like you said, those 3 guys that you mentioned, Boutte being the one, we forget that we was hoping that guy hit the portal to come to Bama, this past season. Like, I would have definitely took him over Jermaine Burton any day. You know,
Gosh.
I think everybody, even when it was happening, you know what? And I will say this, I'm gonna shut this narrative down too. I didn't see many Bama fans celebrate when we got Jermaine Burton. I saw a lot of hype coming behind Jermaine Burton, but I didn't see a lot of us celebrating. One, it was a loyalty thing with me. You just played for the team that just beat our butts in the national championship. Why in the world are you coming to play for us? Are you trying to ride our backs to get some get back because you couldn't get in the starting lineup there? Because if that's your motivation for coming here, then you know you got the wrong motivation and you're hindering us. You're hindering us. And I don't see how a coaching staff can't see past the simple fact that he's not producing in his starter role. And you're supposed to be a leader. You're not producing consistently. You got guys like Isaiah Bonds who are progressing every week, getting better. Kobe Prentice started as a true freshman, first game of the season, and has been steadily improving. Yes, he's made mistakes, but he's a true freshman. You know, so you talk about pass and offense. Yes, I feel like this is the game for our secondary to show that hey, we're athletes. But we know how to be disciplined. We could play the ball in the air. And honestly, if I had to be honest, I don't think LSU's O-line has seen as much talent up front as they're going to see against us. So if we could win that advantage, that's going to help our secondary look a lot better against those stout receivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I get to Ammo Cat's comment, in terms of LSU's offensive line, that is one of the most improved units of that team thus far. Because if you look at the beginning of the season, man, they were a turnstile. Jaden Daniels was getting just absolutely wrecked, and you kind of question, did they hate him? But now they seem to be figuring that out. The offensive line is coming together at the right time. Ammo Cat, Butte gets a bad rap. Jaden didn't give our wide receivers a chance at the beginning of the year. And that's another thing, too. You got the relationship being established between Jaden Daniels and his wide receivers. The trust factor is there. And Jaden is learning the offense, Brian Kelly's offense. There's a lot of progression, and it's going to be a challenge. So we need to be prepared mentally and physically for those guys.
I'm looking at I was looking at the Tennessee game earlier today between LSU and Tennessee. And I hate to use transitive property when it comes to college football because we know in the SEC in particular, the league games, those conference games, whatever happened last week is thrown out the window every week during conference play. But one thing that I did see from LSU's receivers in that Tennessee game and then the game against Ole Miss last week. LSU's receivers, they run their routes with a new sense of aggression, knowing that Jaden Daniels is going to give them a chance now. Just like this, the Ammo Cat commented. They're running with a different level of aggression. I believe, and people might hate me for this, but I believe our wide receivers have become so dependent on Bryce playing backyard football and creating that they don't run their routes all the time with that level of aggression that they need to. If you go look back at how Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Jones, like Marquise Mays, like go back and look at how those guys ran their routes. It wasn't that they were burning people. They just ran with a sense of aggression that you could not tell what was coming at them, whether it was a run play or a pass play, first of all, because we got the same type of hard release coming off with every snap. And then, you know, is he firing off to come and block me hard? Is he firing off to blow past me? You know, we need to see that from our wide receivers.
Right.
And you saw what happened when Ja'Cory Brooks did it. He beat the man off the line, left him in quicksand. The guy was so flat-footed, and he gave 2 hard, quick moves off the line, opened it up for him the rest of the route. So it's small things like that that I think we can improve on and show this week that if we do the small things, we're going to win by 3 or 4 scores. I believe we can take the momentum early and just ride it out and keep Jaden Daniels from playing, you know, keep him playing from behind. That's not one of his strengths, you know, so we'll see.
Hey, you bring an excellent point up, you know, in terms of wide receivers. This is where they need to mature and say, you know what, Bryce, we got you. And they need to play with that aggression. Those people you just named, excellent list. You left out one guy, DeAndre White.
DeAndre White. That was my guy, man. I don't know how I forgot him. He wore my number 2.
But
So
this is where they need to mature. They need to grow up, and they need to make life easy for Bryce. Look, Bryce is a phenomenal talent, man, and you could see the frustration from him throughout the season thus far because, like you said, he was having to do absolutely everything, and the receivers were not helping whatsoever. I mean, say what you want about scheme and all the things we've already talked about. Yes, those things do come into play, but those wide receivers have to have a sense of ownership.
Right.
You know, they're on that field. Own your side or portion of that field. Help your Heisman Trophy winning quarterback out. Get us back to a natty. It's about pride at this point.
At this point, exactly. And like I said, I believe you could tell when those wide receivers are comfortable. When Holden has anything from 15 and lower, he's confident. When he doesn't have to try to stretch the field, he is confident because he didn't come in as a burner. He didn't come in as a guy that's going to take the top off the field. Off the defense. Same with your Corey Brooks. They didn't come in as those guys. That's not what their strong points were. High pointing the ball on jump balls, making physical catches across the middle. Securing the ball, like those things is what made those guys get the looks that they got to even come to Alabama. Getting the ball early, making plays afterwards. You got a guy like Trayshawn Holden who's strong, a tall, strong guy, long, strong guy, and you're not trying to get him the ball early to go against, DBs 5'10", 5'9", 175 pounds, 180 pounds. Yeah, they might have ball skills, but it's harder to play ball skills when the ball is not in the air for a long time. It's harder to use those ball skills when the ball is on a string, on a 3 to 5 yard slant. It's hard to have ball skills against those type of plays. Now you got to be able to make tackles, which most DBs don't like doing. Most DBs don't like having to come up and make the tackle. They like playing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Will we see Harold? Yes, we if we don't see Harold, I told y'all I'm gonna post a list. I'm gonna post a list this week. And if you want to sign up to be on the moving crew to get Bill O'Brien up out of Tuscaloosa, look, we need a few more dollars to get the moving trucks because he do got a nice little crib. You know what I'm saying? He got a little bit of stuff to pack up. But if you want to sign up, I will be heading that crew. And you all can sign up and join me on the mission.
MLK, yeah, we've already talked about this. He's talking about LSU. We've constantly been playing from behind. Seems like we got to get punched in the mouth before we start playing. Mississippi State, Auburn, Florida, and Ole Miss were all 14-plus point comebacks. Absolutely. I mentioned this earlier. If LSU doesn't self-destruct when they come out the tunnel and play full 4 quarters, man, there's no telling what that team could do. And I hope that y'all don't find that, moment against us, but I fully expect it just because it's always a war. I mean, this is good football. This is a rivalry that means something. And it's great to see it actually be significant again instead of the direction that Ed Ogeron had taken it. But
yeah, Ammo Cat, rebuttal to your comment. Look at those teams that you named. Look at what their offenses are doing now. The same thing that they did when they struggled against y'all. They came out early, punch you in the mouth, but like most teams do, they caught y'all early in the season during y'all development stages or solidifying stages, and y'all were able to make those second half just. I don't think LSU can afford to do that against Alabama at this stage of the season. Maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe if they were in Tennessee's position, 2 weeks ago, where we come out and we kind of just crap the bed. LSU but can afford going down 14 against us, but this late in the season where it's do or die, I don't think you see LSU being able to do that if that shows up. Now, if, like Justin said, if y'all come out, boom. If y'all play 4 quarters, y'all have a great chance. Y'all might be able to take it from us because y'all gonna have the crowd. We all know how Death Valley is. As much as
at night.
Yes, and that's the thing, man. Like LSU is one of those teams that I hate, but I respect them so much because of the caliber of opponent that they always bring to the table. It's always a good game. It's been very few games under the Saban era against LSU where they haven't showed up and gave us a game. Edo game last, what it was last year. We didn't expect that last year. And those boys, is just something about being at LSU, playing against Bama in this era of college football that just brings something out of that LSU team, and you have to respect them for that. You appreciate that as a college football fan.
Yeah, without question. Yes, Caleb Stevens, you are right. Seth is arguably the key on offense. We've already touched on that, and I've been on Team Seth since last year, and I will not go on one of my rants again. I think if you've been following the show long enough, you know where I stand with that. But yeah, if Alabama plays to the Bama standard and play mistake-free football and go in there like they're capable, we should come out with that W. But it's going to be hard-earned without question. But
Regardless,
we have been on air for over an hour now, so we need to start shutting things down. Before we shut things down, I want everybody who's in the chat right now. I think we got 102 in the chat. I need to see likes. I need to see that flashing before my eyes. This is what makes the channel go, and you guys are what makes us do what we do, and why we enjoy it so much. But listen, before we close up shop, Coach Smook, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I want you to pop what you got going on. Tell the fans how they can find you outside of when we get together, because, yeah, you're that dude.
Yo, so I appreciate it again, man, and I'm glad to be a co-host on this show, man. This is definitely a safe space for me, because you see how I get it on social media. I can post anything about college football, and they gonna come in talking trash. So this is a safe space for me. But you can just find me on YouTube. I'm streaming live every day. I have my game content, but as far as college football, sports talk, I'm going to be doing my live reactions every week from now on, before the game, halftime, and after the game on my YouTube channel at Coach Smoot. Like I said, I support everything that Justin and the Justin Riley Network has with the Bama Standard and Touchdown Alabama. So definitely be keeping your eye out for any support that I show on that, anything that I feed off of on that. I'm about to crank it up, y'all. Like, the time is here. I'm getting a little settled in now. So yeah, just I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this. And like I said, man, this week right here is really going to determine everything for the rest of the season. And I'm telling you guys, man, it's about to get crazy. It's about to get crazy. I feel it. I feel different about this week, Justin, honestly.
Hey, I'm for it, man. This is what we look forward to each year, the big matchups. Like I said, one game playoff each week. If we are able to come away victorious, we can't rest, because we head to Oxford next week, and we know that Lane's going to have something waiting on us. LSU was able to figure out the formula, but we got to be able to figure that formula out too. So before I close up shop, I'm going to tell you about the Bama Standard, all we have going. If you want to see the live show, it's going to be on every Tuesday night, Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, if you're looking for a program that sugarcoats and holds hands and is nice, if you come to our show, you're going to get your feelings hurt. I'm just going to tell you right now, we're not politically correct. We don't hold hands. We don't wear top hats or kid gloves. They all come off. We resemble the atmosphere of a locker room. We'll joke. We'll have a good time. We're going to tell it like it is. We have legends as co-hosts, but we also have legends as our guests, giving us their unfiltered thoughts about what they see. And trust me, they've been saying a lot. And I think Bama Nation is starting to listen to what they have to say. So definitely tune into that. We're going to have a huge show this Tuesday. We'll be getting some guests in that had a great significance in this game in the past. So you definitely want to check that out. And as always, you will see Coach Smook and I give our recap after the game, whether it's on Saturday night or Sunday night. Either way, we don't close up until we give you our thoughts. But yeah, great show. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We greatly appreciate you guys. Like I said,
blowing it up, man. They
y'all
blowing it
blow
up tonight.
We're not us without you guys. So
exactly, man.
Thank you again. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, man. I'm happy, man. Hey, everybody in the chat, I appreciate y'all for showing up tonight. Like I said, we don't even make announcements. We just kind of go live, and you guys show up every week. And I appreciate it, man, especially with me stepping into this spectrum of content creation. Like, I never saw myself being on a podcast, but like I said, Justin presented the opportunity, and man, like I am motivated because you guys are here. You know, it's hard to do when you're talking to yourself, but when you have people commenting about it, whether it's you're disagreeing or agreeing with what's being said, it feels good to be heard, and it feels good to know that people share the same thoughts or have a different side of, you know, what you're looking at. So roll tide to everybody in the chat, even my LSU fan in the chat. Roll tide to you.
Yeah.
And we coming after that this weekend. I'm telling you. I want you to show up. I want you to show up Saturday night after the game.
Yeah.
Win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, please show up, man. We'd love to have your thoughts. We welcome everybody. We don't shut down people. Now, if you're going to be a troll, then we will give rebuttals, and you don't want the smoke. But anyway, thanks to everybody.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, he's flipping us off too.
I know. I almost gave him one back. Look, you lucky.
I tell you what, man. Out of all of our rivalries, I love this the most. I had the most fun when it comes to LSU. A lot of fan bases can't stand LSU, but I've always had the most fun with the LSU fans.
I respectfully hate LSU, man. I respectfully hate LSU. One of my best friends is an LSU fan. We ended up contracting over in Kuwait together. And when the LSU Bama game came on, we went to a bar over there, and you can't drink alcohol over there for real. So it was like we just were enjoying each other's energy, and it was such a passion. You could tell who the real fans are. And real LSU fans and real Bama fans, we hate each other to the point where it's like a respect thing. We know we're going to show up and give a good show every year, and that's what I love about it.
Absolutely. Hey, I've never come across a bad LSU fan. Matter of fact, anytime I've gone to games, even when I was a student at Alabama, they've always invited me over to have some food and some
every time.
Man,
some of the
I
best
love you
barbecue.
Guys.
Oh my God.
Yes. Y'all bring Louisiana with y'all. I walk out my dorm when I was there. I thought I was on Bourbon Street. Y'all win the award for the greatest showcase. No question. Yeah. But man, great show.
Thank y'all for saving. Look, thank y'all for saving.
We appreciate that gift. Hey, it's his birthday tomorrow. And so everybody make sure you tell Coach Saban a happy birthday tomorrow. 71 years young. That'll do it for us. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.
Yes, sir.